Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome to our next lesson. We're going to do section 8.5. If you guys have had any questions in the last couple days filling out those amortization tables, please let me know. Okay, that's going to be a big part of what we're going to do next week. So just let me know that ahead of time. All right, so today we're going to look at different ways to not necessarily own property, but instead of owning a house or that sort of thing, looking at renting, condos, and cooperatives. So we're really not going to focus too much on condos and cooperatives. Okay, we're going to focus more today on rentals, more specifically rent increase, and looking at what we can expect to pay per rent per year as that rent goes up. Okay, but just to kind of quickly talk to you guys about these. So a condo, some of you may be familiar with that. Okay, generally you do own a condo. The difference between a condo and a house or an apartment. Okay, so a condo might be still a shared space, right? So you might have a big building broken into these different condos. You would own the inside, right? So Miss Lounsbury, for example, owns a condo, and I know the way hers works is that she basically owns from the walls in, right? And her insurance policy kind of covers that. Where there's a association or that owns the rest of it, and they would take care of that as well. So a lot of times with condos, you're not responsible for the upkeep of the property. You pay fees that go towards that, towards mowing the lawn, take care of the outside, doing the landscaping, stuff like that. A cooperative is interesting. I've never actually seen a cooperative myself. I know they are pretty rare. A cooperative is something like, all right, you might own an apartment in this building, and there are 1,000 shares to own. You might own a certain number of shares. It's kind of like like a stock, like a corporation in the stock market. Okay, but we're going to focus today more on renting and a rental. All right. So here's the example I had for you guys for co-op or cooperative. We're not going to do this example. We'll just see what it is. So the Seaford Cove Cooperative is owned by the shareholders. The co-op has a total of 50,000 shares. Janet has an apartment at Seaford Cove and owns 550 shares. So then what percentage of that building does she own? So instead of just owning the apartment, she owns a certain number of shares worth of the entire thing. Kind of interesting. But this is where we're going to focus on rent increase. Okay. So this is a formula that we are going to kind of reference back to. It will be a good idea to have this in your notebook, guys, because there is a part of what we're going to do next week where you will need to reference back to this. Okay, so kind of jot this down quickly along with what the letters represent. So R represents what your yearly rent will be. Okay, A is the initial annual rent. So when you first rent an apartment, right? So for example, maybe rent an apartment that costs you $1,450 a month. That first year, what your rent is going to be per month, that would be what A is, right? So if you initially agree to pay or pay the landlord $1,450, A would be $1,450. B represents what the estimated or what the expected increase in your rent will be. Let's say, for example, that in your apartment or in your area, rent has typically gone up, let's say 5%. Okay. We're going to convert that to a decimal. So 5% would be 0.05. And then B would become 0.05. Okay. And then D in the exponent up here represents what year we have. Now, the reason we subtract it by 1 is because the very first year we rent our apartment, it's not going to instantaneously increase, right? We're going to have that initial rent for a year. And then in our second year, we can expect it to increase by 5%. So this exponent is basically representing like how many times our rent increases, right? So in year 2, that is the first increase that we see. So we take the year number and subtract 1 from it. In our third year, right, when we're going into our third year of renting our apartment, well, that will have been the second time our rent increases, right? We had our initial rent that we agreed to, which again was A, and then increase the first time going into year 2, and then increase the second time going into year 3, right? So think of that as number of times our rent has increased. Okay, so again, that's how we estimate our rent increase. Now let's look at a couple examples of how we use this. So Jake and Gloria here move into an apartment and pay $1,900 rent per month. The landlord told them that the rent has increased by 4.1% per year on average. So express the rent Y as an exponential function of the number of years they rent the apartment. Okay, so that means we're just going to write the equation for right now. Okay, so we're being asked or being told that rent is going to be represented by this variable Y. So if you think about our original equation, we're just going to put a Y where R was in this equation. Okay, so we're going to say Y equals. Oh, that's not my pen. Okay, now again, look at our formula. Okay, now we're going to put A. A is our initial annual rent. So what did they initially agree to pay per month in rent? And you see right here is $1,900. So we're going to put our $1,900 right here. Okay, then we're going to open up our parenthesis. We have 1 plus, in our equation instead of 1 plus B. B is the rate increase expressed as a decimal. So they said on average, our rent increases by 4.1%. So again, we're going to convert that to a decimal by moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. Okay, so we write it as 0.041. Okay, and then our exponent is D minus 1, or what year we are renting our apartment minus 1. We don't know how many years have passed yet, so we don't know that information. So we can either leave it as D, or since I put a Y variable in my equation, guys, think about equations. Usually we use X and Y. I'm going to make, in this case, the number of years X. So I'm going to say X minus 1. Okay. Now the second part says determine the amount rent will be when they renew their lease for year 14. So that means the number of years, okay, which was D in the original equation, which I made X in this equation, is now going to be equal to 14. Okay, so we're going to take our equation. So Y equals 1,900 times 1 plus 0.041 raised to the 14 minus 1. Okay. So to simplify this, guys, let's use our order of operations. Remember PEMDAS? So we're going to simplify what's inside our parentheses first. We're going to do our exponent, and then we're going to multiply. So first I'm going to add 1 plus 0.041, which is just 1.041. Okay, let's simplify this exponent up here. So 14 minus 1 gives us 13. Okay, so now we have to simplify this exponent, this 1.041 raised to the 13th. Because in PEMDAS, we always do exponents first before we multiply. Okay, so if you have a scientific calculator, I know a few of you guys did, you can just plug it in here, right? Remember the little up arrow, okay, right there is our exponent. So I would type in 1.041, use that up arrow to the 13th, hit enter. If you don't, I want to show you guys how you do this on your phone calculator, okay? So open up your phone. Now, it might be a little different if you have an Android, but first take your phone and you have to flip it, okay, horizontally. Now what we're going to do is first type in the base. So I'm going to type in this 1.041, 1.041, okay? Now, in the second row of those buttons, okay, so second to the top, okay, there's one across here. I know it's a little blurry here. That says right there, X raised to the Y. Can you guys see that? X raised to the Y. That's the button we're going to use to raise something to an exponent, okay? So you see your second column or your second row here says second, X squared, X to the third, X to the Y. So I'm going to hit X to the Y, okay? Now we're going to type our exponent, which is 13. 13, and I'm going to hit enter. And you should get 1.686 with a whole bunch of other decimals after that. So that's what this part right here simplifies to. Now I want to take that and I'm going to multiply it. So I'm going to hit multiply or times 1,900, and we get a rent. So Y is going to equal $3,203.41. Okay, if you guys are having trouble with that, please ask me. Okay, so try to do this one on your own, right? Put this in your calculator. See if you get this number. If you're not, and you tried a couple times, you're getting frustrated, please shoot me a message. Ask me on Remind, and I'll get back to you guys of how you can fix that. Okay, let's do another one. All right, now we have Mike and Molly. They move into an apartment and pay $1,500 rent per month. The landlord told them that the rent has increased by 3.5% per year on average. So we want to first write the equation and then determine what their rent will be on year 10. Okay, so Y is going to equal the initial rent, which was $1,500. Open up parenthesis. So 1 plus B, okay, but B represents the increase, the percentage, which is 3.5%. Again, convert that into a decimal. So 0.035. And then raised to the X minus 1 or D minus 1. Okay, now we know it's year 10, so I'm going to plug 10 in for X. So Y is going to equal 1,500 times 1 plus 0.035 raised to 10 minus 1. Okay, so let's simplify. I'm going to add those two things inside my parentheses and get 1.035. And 10 minus 1 is raised to the 9th. Okay, so let's plug that into our calculator. We're going to do 1.035 raised to the 9th first. Again, use your phone or your calculator. Then take that number and multiply it by 1,500. Okay, so just to kind of make sure you guys are doing this right, if I plug in 1.035 raised to the 9th, you should get 1.36289, yada, yada, yada. Multiply that times 1,500, and you should get our yearly rent in our 10th year is $2,044.35. Okay. All right. Last one that we're going to do today, okay, is just asking you for the equation now. Okay, so Andrew and Meghan moved into an apartment in the city and paid $2,700 rent per month. The landlord told them the rent has increased by 7.1%. So express the rent Y as an exponential function of X, the number of years they rent the apartment. Okay, just write the equation here. So Y is going to equal their initial rent, so $2,700 times 1 plus the 7.1% increase, so 0.071. Okay, and the number of years is, they told us, is X, so X minus 1. There we go. Guys, that's it for today. So I want to talk to you about what to expect the rest of this week and next week. Okay. So I know I had texted you guys or remind message you all that we're going to have a quiz tomorrow on Thursday. Okay. I changed my mind on that. So originally we were going to review today, take a quiz tomorrow. Okay. This section on rent increase and all that was going to happen next Tuesday and Thursday. After that, so the week of June 1st, I was going to give you guys your Chapter 8 project to finish out the year. You're going to work on that, and once you finish, you're done to end around June 4th. Okay, instead what I'm going to do is, obviously I taught you this lesson today. You're going to practice it tomorrow, okay, working with this rent increase formula. Next week, I'm going to give you guys your Chapter 8 project, okay? Now, I'm not going to give it to you on Monday. That's Memorial Day, so I'll have it available for you guys on Tuesday. So what will happen is you'll see a new tab on P-Learning on Tuesday that doesn't say week number 9 attached to it. It'll just say Chapter 8 project. Under that will be different tabs to the different parts of your project to try to keep you guys a little more organized, to give you little checkpoints. Okay, I think there's going to be either 4 or 5 parts to it. Okay, and basically they'll all come online on Tuesday. I'll try to be very clear, give you guys examples of what I'm looking at for each one. And then at that point, once you finish that project, you are done for financial algebra. That is it. So if you want to finish and crank it out all on Tuesday next week, then you can be done then. If you have other stuff going on, you have to wait a little bit, that's fine too. Okay, but I'll be available for questions, but that's how it's going to work. Okay, so with that, guys, please work on your lesson check for today. Now that, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.